All right, Teddy, what are the keys in this fight?
Well, you're going to see the graphics going to go up there right now, and one of the keys for Tarver, he's a taller man. Use that jab. Take advantage of that height advantage. Keep it on the outside when you can. And make him pay to get in. The shorter Johnson, when he tries to get inside, hit him and create gaps. Take little steps back, make the shorter Johnson reach a little bit, catch him leaning over with uppercuts. For the shorter Johnson, the more experienced Johnson, use your jab for cover when you're working in with the good counterpuncher. And feint first. Get him off balance. Then come in and stay out of no man. Don't lay in front. And don't pull straight back. Either be all the way in, Johnson, or be all the way out. Don't lay in front of that long arm Tarver. You'll pay a price.
Antonio Tarver, 4-1 in his last 5. His only loss here on Friday Night Fights against Eric Harding. Since that fight, he has a new trainer, James Buddy McGirt. Tarver says he is in the best shape of his life for this fight tonight. 35-year-old Reggie Johnson, former 2-time world champion as a light heavyweight and middleweight. He has 1 loss in his last 5, and that came to Roy Jones Jr. Take a look at the rules as you get a look at referee Tim Adams. Unified rules will be used for the main event. No 3 knockdown rule, no standing 8 count. Only the referee can stop it. Fighter cannot be saved with the bell in any round. Accidental foul, they'll go to the scorecards after 4 rounds are complete. There is Reggie Johnson. And Antonio Tarver. I've just been handed a note here, Teddy, and only in boxing do you get these kind of notes. Tacky is not the USBA champion.
Step to the corner.
Because the USBA says they have no proof that he lives in Los Angeles. He's still the NABF, which is the North American Championship. Reed, even though he got knocked out, keeps his USBA title, which he'll give up and now move to 147.
I mean, come on, get a national commission. Stop the crap. I mean, how ridiculous is that? I mean, come on. I mean, who won the Super Bowl last year? The Baltimore Ravens. Did you hear the new news flash? They're not the champs no more. You know why? One of the guys don't live in Los Angeles. They're not the champs no more.
Well, we know this thing. Reggie Johnson is from Houston, so he can have the USBA title. And he has the NABF.
Well, getting to this fight, I think this, on paper, makes for an intriguing, challenging fight. You have the more experienced 2-division champion Johnson, who's a shorter man, who has been the smaller man throughout his career. Turned pro junior middleweight, moved up to middleweight for 8 years, then up to light heavyweight. Tarver's been a big light heavyweight his whole career, 5 times at 179 pounds. Matter of fact, Tarver is weighing the lightest of his career tonight. You mentioned that he said he was in the best shape of his career. Well, the weight would back it up. He's 174 pounds tonight, lightest of his career. He's serious.
Tarver said that he's got to use his jab. That's the key for him. Maintain that distance. And he can't let Johnson steal rounds.
This could be a very dangerous fight for the experienced Johnson. On some spots, some people thought lately has shown a little bit of his age.
If you take a look at the most recent common opposition, Chris Johnson, 2 fights ago, Reggie went 12 rounds with Chris, landed 20% of his punches. Tarver knocked Chris Johnson out in the 10th round, landed 42% of his power shots.
Johnson has been a pro a long time, 17.5 years. Johnson would like to test Tarver in areas that some people think he's not great in. Mental toughness. Johnson would like to get inside, bang that body, make it a tough fight. I believe that Tarver is showing maturity. I believe that loss to Eric Harding may have helped him.
And Tarver will tell you that in that loss to Harding, when he suffered a broken jaw in the 9th round and injured ribs in the 9th round, he said, I could have just given up there. I fought till the final bell. I hung in there with those injuries when I knew I probably had no shot of winning.
Tarver had never been in a tough fight before that Harding fight. Sometimes you lose that fight, you find out about yourself, you get better.
Feeling out process in round 1. Round number 2 underway. Antonio Tarver and Reggie Johnson. This is a 12-rounder. Johnson currently holds the regional belts of the NABF and USBA. Fairly even round number 1. Not a whole lot as far as clean punches connected. Tarver did have the edge, 14-9.
Two southpaws in there, but different approaches, different fight plans, different game plans. Johnson wants to get inside like he is here and work the body of the tall, bigger Tarver. A lot of body there. There goes Johnson to that midsection. Tarver wants a little distance. He's a taller, longer fighter. Good counterpuncher, Tarver.
Tarver was 0 for 26 with his jab in the first round.
Tarver wants to do one of two things. Use that jab to keep Johnson outside where he can pick him apart, use his height, land that big left hand, which he just missed. Or Tarver wants to keep Johnson out on the outside, make Johnson reach in a little bit, and then throw counters when Johnson tries to get close.
Tarver was a highly decorated amateur, 158 wins. In 1995, he was the first American to win the Pan Am Games, U.S. Nationals, and World Championships in the same year. In the 96 Olympics in Atlanta, picked up a bronze medal. He lost to Vasily Yurov, who we'll see in our main event next week on Friday Night Fights. A controversial loss.
Johnson, a very steady fighter. You have to be around 17.5 years and be a winner, and to win 2 world titles in different weight classes. But Tarver's very talented, and this will be a dangerous fight for Johnson if Tarver indeed has matured since that Harding loss. That's the key. I think this fight will come down to whether or not Tarver can be consistent. If he can, he has a good chance.
Gonna land that left hand.
Tarver likes distance. Why not? He has long arms. He's the bigger man, the taller man. Take advantage of it.
Corner of Tarver yelling, use the double jab.
Johnson very slick, moving that head. You have to be slick. You've been in this business 17.5 years. Tarver should concentrate on the body when Johnson moves that head.
2 rounds complete between Antonio Tarver and Reggie Johnson. Obviously, with the Mike Tyson talk from earlier this week, we asked these two their thoughts, starting with Reggie.
I'm on the inside looking out. You guys are on the outside looking in. I deal with fighters. I've been dealing with them a long time. 95% of the fighters are good guys. Trust me. They'll give you their shirt off their backs. And I'm one of those guys. Don't get caught up in the Mike Tysons and Leon Spinks, those type of fighters. Trust me, those are the guys who are representing my sport, our sport, the ultimate sport.
Anything that has a negative influence on my sport, you know, it makes me feel sad, you know, because one black eye, you know, one bad apple ruined the whole bunch. And, you know, but I feel that, you know, the situation that Mike is going through, I mean, we all saw that coming. He's been through different things before.
So those are the thoughts of Tarver and Johnson. Johnson, truly one of the real good guys in this sport. Been a pro since 1984. Held a world championship in the middleweight division and the light heavyweight division. He's represented the sport very, very well.
Both these fighters technically solid, Bob. Even though they have different plans, different missions. Johnson wants to get in, but he's using that jab to work his way in, moving his head. keeping Tarver busy so Tarver can't counter him on the way in. Can't pot shot him. Can't time him on the way in. And when Johnson gets inside, he knows what to do. Work. Go to that body.
Both guys have outstanding former fighters in their corner. Antonio Tarver is trained by Buddy McGirt. And Reggie Johnson, one of the assistants in his corner, is Gennaro Hernandez.
Former world champion, Gennaro Hernandez, a terrific person. Of course, former world champion in the other corner, matching wits with Hernandez. Buddy McGirt, former junior welterweight and welterweight champ in the corner of Tarver, as Tarver goes to work. Tarver's good at throwing nice short punches and following the head movement of fighters. Watch how well he does that. When fighters try to move their head with Tarver, he keeps a nice distance. He keeps touching you, touching you, touching you, and he follows your head. He doesn't let you get away. Doesn't give you relief.
Take that bucket off the table.
Johnson blocked a lot of that, but is allowing Tarver to control the tempo and the pacing of the round.
Tarver is confident, which I think he is. And as I said earlier, if he has matured since that Harding fight, which I think he has, I said it earlier, this is going to be a tough fight for the two-time former champion, Johnson. It's going to be an intriguing fight. Johnson wants to see if he can bring Tarver into deep water, drown him. I don't know if he can do that.
Unlike Tacky and Reed, which was a bomb fest earlier this evening, which Tacky won in the 5th round stoppage, this is a tactical fight.
Johnson wants to test the resolve of Tarver. Wants to get inside. Bang that body. Tarver doesn't want him inside too much. Wants to be the boss.
The left hook to the body from Tarver.
Watch Tarver follow the head movement of Johnson. Does a real good job of keeping distance and following that head movement with double shots. Trying to move Johnson into punches.
Tarver controlling the distance here in round 3.
Well, I've been mentioning the ability, the trait of Tarver to follow head movement. Watch how he keeps his distance just right. Doesn't fall into traps when Johnson moves his head. And he's able to stay in good punching position, good distance, and follow Johnson.
Well, the corner of Johnson was pretty concerned after round number 3. They said, you're just giving away rounds here, Reggie. You're giving away rounds. You okay? Johnson said, yeah, I'm fine. They said, go to work.
There's that counter punch from Tarver, getting the landscape he wanted. Taking a little step back, I talked about it. Taking a little step back and fighting the shorter Johnson in, and then filling the hole. Tarver's looking to do it 2 ways. Keep it on the outside, use his jab, or fight Johnson in, and do his counter-punching act. Catch Johnson coming in.
All right, give me a break.
Maybe take a little step back and fight Johnson in. Maybe throw an uppercut. Sometimes Johnson leans just a little bit.
Talking about Johnson's inactivity in the last round, Tarver threw 116 punches to 49 from Johnson.
Talking about what Tarver likes to do. It's evident what Johnson wants to do. Not lay in front and get caught too long. And press behind the jab. Jab's very important coming in. Keep Tarver busy. Don't let Tarver have an open shot to time Johnson coming in.
You know, against Chris Johnson, one of the keys for Reggie Johnson was the fact that he was very busy in that fight by light heavyweight standards. In this fight, so far, he's not that busy.
A lot of people are going to say, look, how come he's not busy? How come Johnson, the shorter man, is not getting inside and staying inside? Because he has a very good, smart opponent in front of him, in Tarver. Tarver's keeping distance pretty good, and every time Johnson tries to get in, Tarver's always dangerous with a counter. Johnson can't just walk in.
Give me a break. Give me a break, man.
He has to do it the right way. He has to find the right key to that door.
Watch your head.
Johnson being cautioned to watch leading with the head.
Tarver, a tough opponent. A lot of ability. One of the great amateurs in American history. Maybe finding himself. It takes time to match talent with maturity and resolve and intelligence. And maybe that Harding fight that Tarver lost, his only loss on his record, has helped him.
Tactical matchup with Antonio Tarver and Reggie Johnson through 4. We begin round number 5. Reggie Johnson, Antonio Tarver. No knockdowns. It's been a tactical bout, but Tarver in the black trunks has been able to control things with his jab, and he's just been much busier. Reggie Johnson just not throwing enough punches in his own corner, asking for more from Reggie Johnson. After the loss to Eric Harding, Antonio Tarver parted ways with longtime trainer Jimmy Williams. He's now working with former champ Buddy McGirt, and he explains what Buddy has brought to the table.
He's brought knowledge. You know, the guy's a 2-time world champion. He's been through the mill with the game, and he knows it like the back of his hand. And he knows my advantages, and that's what we worked on, and we attack our opponent weaknesses. And I mean, I'm comfortable with Buddy. It's a guy that I respect. He's a family man, and he has my highest respect and honor.
And Buddy McGirt joins us from the corner of Antonio Tarver. Buddy, Bob Papa, Teddy Atlas. So far, Antonio has done a nice job controlling distance. What would you like to see him do more of?
I'd like to see him back Reggie up more with the jab. You know what I mean? Don't let Reggie steal the rounds. You know, because Reggie has a tendency when he's the aggressor, he'll throw 2 punches, hold you, you know, and try to steal the round. That's what his experience. So the key is to make him work. I mean, and keep that jab in his face, and just blind him with the jab.
Buddy, this is Teddy here. Buddy, you know, Tarver's always been a very talented fighter. But the kind of fighter that was marked where maybe he wasn't getting the most out of himself, maybe he wasn't mature enough. I think if after the Eric Harding loss, he's matured a lot. He looks like a much more confident, definite, sure fighter than he did before. Has he matured?
Most definitely, Teddy. I mean, he's worked hard for this fight. I mean, he's 6-7 weeks. He was in the gym. He did a lot of conditioning with Mr. Dudley Pierce, his conditioner. And, you know, we never had to look for him. He was in the gym. And he never asked, you know, what was he doing the next day. And he was always there on time. So, you know, he worked really hard. He really wants us very, very badly.
Buddy, thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
All right, Buddy McGirt, right now, his man Antonio Tarver getting things done in the ring. And Teddy, while Buddy was talking, I'm looking over at the corner of Reggie Johnson, and they are flabbergasted with Johnson not stepping in and throwing punches. There are several instances where Tarver was sort of within range and Johnson didn't do anything. They are very frustrated in that Johnson corner.
Part of the reason why Johnson is not stepping in, I alluded to it early. Tarver, a very versatile fighter, a very smart fighter. When you come in, he counters you. He makes you think twice about it.
Tarver fighting at his pace and controlling it. Round number 6 underway for Antonio Tarver and Reggie Johnson. At stake. Well, Johnson steps in and tags Tarver.
Where he needs to be, on the inside those long arms of Tarver. He needs to get in safely, past those counter punches of Tarver. And once he's in there, he needs to stay there and work.
Tarver has controlled this fight using his jab and creating distance. Take a look at the numbers through 5 rounds, all Tarver. Look at the punch output. That's the big number. Tarver just outworking Johnson.
This is going to be a telling round here if Johnson keeps up this attack. Because this is what Johnson figured he wanted to do and needed to do with Tarver. Get inside and test Tarver. Find out the truth about Tarver on the inside. Is Tarver tough enough? We know he's talented enough. Is he mature enough? One thing that Tarver had that Johnson might not have bargained on is Tarver can fight inside and outside. Very versatile. very talented. He knows what he's doing inside. He can hold his own in there in spots.
Teddy Atlas's scorecard reads as follows: 49-46. Teddy gave the first round to Johnson. I gave it to Tarver. I have it a shutout at this point. Glenn Kelly fights Roy Jones. Kelly is ranked #1 by the IBF. The winner of this fight, after Kelly presumably loses to Jones, will get that #1 ranking.
Every once in a while, you see the tendency of Johnson. He does that in fights. He's a shorter man usually. He'll reach in a little bit. He didn't pay a price before, but he better be careful. Tarver is a good counterpuncher. We've said it many times. And he's a taller man. Johnson keeps reaching in. Tarver's going to time him.
Johnson landed his best punch of the fight to start this 6th round. Had Tarver in a defense mode. But Teddy, I would think in these last 45 seconds, this round is up for grabs.
Yes, it is. Tarver has pulled himself close.
Nice combination there by Tarver.
Tarver puts punches together. Very silky-like, very smooth. And as I mentioned before, even when Johnson moves his head and Tarver misses, Tarver has a way of still moving his hands without leaving himself open and keeping the opponent defensive. A lot of times when an opponent fights a guy like Johnson and he misses the shot, he will stop punching.
Round 6 began well for Reggie Johnson. It's ending nicely for Antonio Tarver.
Back to the jab.
Round 7 underway for Antonio Tarver and Reggie Johnson. Round number 6 started off nicely for Johnson. Now we'll call it timeout. There's some loose tape on the right glove of Antonio Tarver. They'll get that squared away. Buddy McGirt will clean that up. Well, the round began well for Johnson, but he stalled.
Gotta keep backing him up, Antonio.
Buddy McGirt put some tape on it.
Be the aggressor. Be the aggressor.
Another case. That white adhesive tape with the sweat becoming loose, where you would think the commissions would learn from that and put that silver duct tape over it that is waterproof and will not allow those stops in action.
Ah, the small details.
Watch your head. Watch your head.
You're right. Commissions have to worry about bigger things, like whether or not they're going to license Mike Tyson.
You know, in the last round, Johnson started off well, but in the last minute, Tarver outlanded Johnson 22-1, according to CompuBox. Joe Carnicelli, so will Avilar. And he turned that whole round around. The corner of Johnson said to him in between round 6 and 7, make this fight rough because you're just giving this thing away.
Don't use that rope.
Tarver holding his own in spots on the inside. If he continues to do that, that is a bad sign for Johnson because we know on the outside it's going to be Tarver. Johnson needs to be able to own that inside.
We should let you know, we heard from Buddy McGirt in Tarver's corner earlier. The corner of Reggie Johnson has declined to come on with us during the action. And I can understand that because they got a lot of work to do with their guy. I mean, just from what we listened to in between rounds, I think the Johnson camp feels that they've given away all 6 rounds to this point. And there's a lot of frustration there. Derwin Richards said to Johnson, whatever you think you're doing isn't working.
All right, give me a break. Give me a
Tarver mixing it up nicely. Taking it outside, using that southpaw jab against the shorter southpaw Johnson. Keeping distance, taking advantage of his long arms. Looking for counter spots. If Johnson tries to reach in, and then if Johnson stays outside like he is now, well, Tarver picks. Takes a little bit at a time. From a safe distance. From a proper distance. Where the taller man is king. And there's Tarver using that jab, and then setting up the left hand.
Most of those being blocked and missing, but it's Tarver who is busier. Man, there's a good left hand from Antonio Tarver.
Tarver sets you up. He lulls you to sleep. Those little soft touching punches, then all of a sudden finishes with a hard one.
Reggie Johnson is going to need a big rally. He's to pull this thing out. And Teddy, let's take a look at the left hand of Antonio Tarver.
Well, Tarver throwing punches, moving his hands around, and then all of a sudden finishing up top, you'll see, with a nice big shot. Knows how to set shots up, Tarver. Moves his man into punches. Touches you, touches you, touches you, keeps you defensive, and then bang, he looks to nail you.
Round 8 underway. All Antonio Tarver in the black trunks. No knockdowns in the fight. Tarver's used the distance, used his speed, used some movement. Reggie Johnson just not busy. As we take a look at the numbers through 7 rounds, Tarver's outlanded Johnson 120 to 63 in power shots.
The only thing Tarver's losing in this fight is his trunks. They are getting lower and lower.
Doesn't bother him.
If it doesn't bother him, it's going to bother somebody pretty soon if it keeps sinking.
Give me a break. Give me a break.
Somebody's going to have to help him out. I think the referee, the smart referee, and there's the crowd cheering.
Tim Adams pulls him back up for Antonio. Tough to pull those up when you only have a thumb to work with.
Again, Tarver keeping it where he wants to keep it. Even when Johnson gets inside, Johnson not allowed, not able to do enough. Tarver's defense solid.
All right, give me a
Good
break.
habits. Hands up. What makes Tarver so difficult in this fight? Go outside and inside.
And he's kept a busier pace.
And watch when Johnson moves his head. I mentioned it before. A lot of guys, when they fight a smart fighter with good head movement like Johnson, as soon as they miss to the head, they put their hands in their pockets. They stop punching. They get worried they're going to leave himself open. Not Tarver. He has a good knack, a good ability. Even when he misses the head, he keeps his distance real good, doesn't leave himself open, and keeps moving his head. Doesn't give the fighter making a miss an advantage. Matter of fact, keeps that fighter defensive. Keeps him busy. Doesn't let that fighter turn defense into offense.
Uninspired performance from Reggie Johnson. Some of that has to do with Antonio Tarver fighting a tactically sound fight. Some of it has to do with Johnson just not being busy enough, consistent enough. Here's the bell at end. Round number 8. Well, we're in Rosemont, Illinois. One of the big boxing decisions will be coming up in Nevada. And Teddy, the big question is, will Mike Tyson get his license back from the Nevada State Commission? Your thoughts on that?
Well, you know what? The Nevada Commission has themselves in a bit of a corner now. How can they license him? If they license him, who do they say no to? Bin Laden? I mean, really? I mean, why do you have a commission after all the history of Tyson? What's the need for a commission if you're not going to police things, if you're not going to enforce, if you're not going to hand out certain kinds of punishment? If they don't do it now, you know what I say? Get rid of the commission, save a little taxpayer money, and let the casinos there that dictate a lot of the policy there, let them have a little committee and do what they want to do.
But other guys have had fights at the press conference.
But not the history Tyson has had. And what other situation? Nevada put themselves in a tough spot. Nevada, the last time, a lot of people haven't talked about this, Bob, the last time Tyson fought here against Orlin Norris and he hit him late, Nevada said, goodbye, don't come back no more. We don't want you here. The next time you come back, we'll see and we'll evaluate you. And we'll see how you've been behaving. Well, you know what? What has he done since then? What has he done since then? Nevada has to act on the position they put themselves in. They said the next time Tyson comes back, they're going to evaluate what his behavior's been. Well, you know what? I would argue his behavior has not been too good. Nevada's in a tough spot. When they After that Norris fight, they told Tyson, goodbye, good riddance, straighten your act out. He didn't do it.
But here's the other thing, Teddy. Nevada is a free-to-work state. It is a free-to-work state. It's got one of those rules where it's a free-to-work state. So unless Mike Tyson is indicted and accused of something, they might not have the legal right to prevent him from earning a living in their state.
They have the right to take his license away. Let me finish it by this, and I think this is important. A license in professional sports or in any profession to make millions of dollars is a privilege. It's not a right. He lost his privilege.
Oh, Tarver gets sent down from Johnson on a counter shot. Antonio Tarver cruising along, but he got careless there.
Tarver taking a picture, waiting for the receipt.
Late knockout power. Johnson has 2 knockouts in his career past the 8th round, but they both came back in 1990 when he was a middleweight. He's never done it at this weight.
We're going to see 2 things here. We're going to see the finishing ability of Johnson, and we're going to see the maturity level, the toughness of Tarver. How much he's improved since that fight with Hardy. I think he's improved. We're going to find out. Put it this way, Johnson got what he wanted. He wanted a test. He wanted to test the resolve of Tarver. Now he's going to be able to do it.
On my card, it was a shutout through 8 for Tarver, but Reggie Johnson has dropped Tarver here in round 9. And I would think if you asked Johnson's camp, they probably had him losing the first 8 rounds, or at least 7 of the first 8.
Johnson figured he had the pressure throughout the fight. And when you have the pressure throughout the fight, you usually figure you're going to do most of your damage late in the fight.
Now Tarver looking to turn the tables a bit. Left hand over the top from Tarver. Johnson comes back with a big shot. There's the bell to end round number 9. Antonio Tarver gets dropped. Hey, let's take a look at the knockdown. A counter shot.
Little posing after he punched. Standing there after he punched. Leaving the right jab, the right hand out there too long. Watch again. After you punch, you must move. You must not stand there. And you must not pull straight back. Tarver committed both those sins. Johnson knew what to do.
Round 10 underway. 12-rounder. Reggie Johnson, the NABF and USBA light heavyweight champion, against 1996 Olympian Antonio Tarver. Tarver cruising along through the first 8, gets dropped in round 9.
Complete tape on the right glove of Tarver. Again, they don't have that silver electrical tape, that duct tape over the gloves to keep the water from making that tape come loose. Maybe action might be stopped. Tarver going back in this round to the thing that he feels most comfortable with, the jab and distance. He has an advantage in both those areas.
Tarver a bit tentative. Nail that left hand shot. There's a good left hand there from Johnson.
There's Tarver trying to set shots up by touching Johnson lightly underneath and then going up top heavy and strong.
But you know, the veteran Johnson, when he sees those slow punches coming next time, he's going to be quick to respond. Left hand to the eye from Tarver. Good left hand again from Tarver. Hey, if I was Tarver, I wouldn't use that slow punch thing much longer, because Johnson is going to just time him.
Especially when he's standing in front. If you're going to do it, you got to bend low.
But why isn't Johnson throwing back off that stuff?
He looks tired. And he's been around 17.5 years.
Johnson says, come on back in. Tarver does it cautiously, keeping his distance.
Johnson giving Tarver the landscape this round after being on the floor the last round, the landscape to pull himself together. And maybe enough to get to the finish line now.
Well, you almost get the sense that Johnson realizes he can only win by knockout, and he's trying to lure Tarver into that trap.
Do it.
Reggie Johnson didn't get an earful. He got 2 ears full. From not only Derwin Richards in between rounds 10 and 11, but from Gennaro Hernandez, the former champion, saying, what are you doing just blocking? You got to knock this guy out. You're losing this fight. And he allowed Antonio Tarver to control the pace in the last round, Teddy, and throw 104 punches to his 36. Especially after it looked like he had Tarver hurt early in the round.
Tarver's very silky smooth. He's very deceptive. He's a big, big light heavyweight and a good puncher. And that has been wearing over the rounds on Johnson.
Teddy has it 97-92. I have it 98-91 for Tarver.
There's a good counter punch. Left hand from Tarver. Johnson reaches in a little bit. Tarver fills the spot.
Hey, the thing I don't get, though, is early in the last round, Johnson had Tarver reeling a little bit. Looked like he had him hurt, and then he just backed away. Do you think that's the age kicking in?
A little bit. It's been a tough fight for him, and he's got a tricky opponent. Don't underestimate the science that Tarver knows. He knows a lot of science. He doesn't let you rest. Usually when Johnson moves his head, guys stop punching them when they miss. Tarver has made the older Johnson keep working because Johnson has, or Tarver has that habit, that way of still moving his hands even when Johnson moves his head. He hasn't let Johnson have a rest.
Johnson digs to the body with both hands.
Because Tarver makes you hesitate, makes you think. I said it earlier, it's not easy to just walk in with Tarver. Looks like the right thing to do, but look how Tarver sets himself to counterpunch when you walk in. Watch him. Watch him. He's using a jab. He's keeping distance. He's making it hard for Johnson to get inside. And if Johnson walks in and leaves himself open, Tarver will counter him.
But right there, isn't that where Johnson's got to just go for broke once he gets inside?
He's a little hesitant right now. There's been spots when he's been inside and Tarver has had some answers. There's the counter punch again as Johnson tries to get in. Now Johnson will have to think about it. And while he's thinking about it, look what's happening.
A highlight for Reggie Johnson in this fight, the 9th round when he dropped Antonio Tarver. The highlight for Tarver in this fight, the other 9 rounds.
I said very early, right at the beginning of the first round, this was a dangerous fight for Johnson.
Well, on our scorecards, Reggie Johnson needs a knockout in the last round to win it. And this fight controlled by Antonio Tarver, with the exception of round number 9, when Tarver got dropped.
You young fighters out there, you're taller, you might be faster, you might like the box. Tarver's good at that, but look at how you have to be able to handle your own inside too. You have to be able to do it all. And Tarver being able to handle himself in spots inside has made this fight a good fight for him.
Well, Tarver has had to deal with adversity over the past 12 years. As a youngster, he thought he was on his way to a basketball scholarship. It never happened. His world crashed. He got involved with cocaine. In 1990, he entered a rehab facility in Phoenix, Arizona, got his life together, realized basketball was out of the picture, turned to boxing, became one of the most decorated amateurs in U.S. history, picked up a bronze medal in the '96 Olympics, and still no promoter looked to sign him. He's taken a long, hard road to this point, but right now he is dominating Reggie Johnson, and we hit this 12th and final round. That is a slip and a push. Tarver did go down in round 9.
With all those laurels, the amateurs, the Olympic Games, the talent, everything else, you still have to be tested. You still sometimes have to lose to win. And I believe it was the Lord to Eric Hardy that has put it all together for Tarver. I don't think that he could win this fight tonight if he hadn't taken that Harding fight and lost that fight. He's improved from that fight. You young fighters out there, don't be afraid to take fights that step back. Even if you lose, you can learn, you can mature. Don't give up.
As Tarver said, don't question my heart, because I had a broken jaw and injured ribs in round 9, and I fought to the final bell. Reggie Johnson looking to land that one haymaker. Tarver being very cautious.
Tarver's keeping a gap, keeping a little distance, and just daring Reggie to come in and looking to pull the trigger on him if he does with that left hand.
The corner of Johnson waving their arms. Come on, Reggie. Come on, Reggie. Gennaro Hernandez, Derwin Richards screaming, saying work the body, do something. And Reggie Johnson is running out of time on the doorstep of possibly another world title shot. It's like Reggie Johnson's going to leave Chicago without his NABF and USBA belts. And it's back to the pack. Whereas Tarver is trending upward.
For the most part, Tarver has kept the fight where he wanted to. And when he's had to go inside, he has done it. He has shown his versatility and his maturity. And he has a win to prove it.
Antonio Tarver and Buddy McGirt make a nice team. Tarver keeps getting better and better. Will he be the next man to challenge Roy Jones Jr.? We'll get the judges' cards after this timeout. Antonio Tarver throws over 1,000 punches in the balance of this 12-round bout. He did get dropped in round number 9, but he dominated the action in this fight. Let's take a look at Teddy Atlas's final scorecard. It reads as follows: 117 to 110 for Tarver. I had it 118-109 for Tarver. And we are awaiting the judges' official scorecards from our ring announcer, Mark Biro. Get a look at Reggie Johnson. He just was not busy at all. Going only 567 punches in this fight, landing 9% of his jabs. They're still getting the scorecards. Earlier tonight, Ben Tacky stopped Teddy Reed in the 5th round at 2:35 of the 5th round. Felix Cora, unanimous decision win against Chris Thomas. That came on ESPN. Mark Biro is now ready with the final scores.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a split decision. Judge Mike Gliena scores the bout 115-112 Johnson.
What was he watching?
I want to check that guy's license.
Crystal Wright scores the fight 115-112 Tarver. And Judge Bill Lurch sees it 114-113 to the winner by split decision and NABF and USBA light heavyweight champion, Antonio Tarver.
Man, that was a lot closer than it needed to be. We listened to Reggie Johnson's corner in between rounds during commercials. They had him losing the first 7 rounds of the fight, at least.
Listen, all I want to say is I want a national commission and I want a panel to judge the judges. Get a panel to judge these judges. That is ridiculous. Get a panel. Judge them. Judge them.
Antonio Tarver wins a split decision, and only 3 people probably saw it that way, but congratulations to Antonio. For Brian Kenny, Max Kellerman, and Teddy Atlas, this is Bob Papa saying so long from Chicago.